Hi Kelly, how are you?
Good, how you doing?
It's like multi. I had to put my building on who's being strained. I haven't talked to them. They're trying to get it out. You just have to walk in. Yeah, it hits you. Stings the nostrils. I think it's- Yep. It's easy. Fine. Really? That's fine. Yes. Yeah.
And also good for us, like, yeah, you are.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rob. Come on. It's,
How old is your youngest now?
So my youngest, so Emma will be 13,
Okay.
son.
My youngest is now. My youngest is now. I'm like, oh, yeah. Yeah, so.
Right.
Okay,
It's pretty cool out there. Like, you don't. Yeah.
It goes to the next and that's what I'm telling you. And I know sometimes, you know, it takes a while to get back.
Yeah.
It's better. We'll see what comes. I gotta try to go in early, go in now. It's hard. It's 7 or 8.
All these updates.
Okay.
All these issues, and then it wastes like a whole day of going back and forth with them. We can't do anything because it's like that, yeah, state kind of revenue, everyone just kind of always messes about.
I would pay him all, but I gave him that.
I think the way you know that. It's like the cloud, I guess. I think that's a big thing to do with, especially because then it's like I will log in for those code update on everything, and it's like you don't have access to it, and it's like we're on what? Whatever direct does to host this need direct access to, I think I maybe it's a different version, but some reason, the way it's other things have it versus we have it, I don't know. But
Long known chief on me saying. I couldn't take the other thing down.
How many times do you think Matt's gonna strip over?
Well, I tried to take it this time, hoping for the best.
Think you wanna?
Based on our conversation, we figured we tried to do that stuff and measure and lay it out with our first. And then you do the bunch of things, like get the presentation and all that stuff.
I didn't mind going off on that.
We're talking about Legos. Building Legos.
Stop what's going. You came in late, so you have to give them an extra 5 minutes. None of the clocks say the same thing.
No, none of them do say the same time, do they? There it's open. All right, if I could everyone please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let me know when we're all set over there. We are good. We're online. Fantastic. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Monday, November 7th business meeting at the New Britain Township Board of Supervisors. Actually, workshop, isn't it?
It's business.
Man, business workshop. So, whatever.
The workshop.
The workshop. Yeah, there we go. We just had a 2-hour executive session, so we're a little. So, the board met in executive session prior to this meeting to discuss litigation, personnel, and land preservation. We covered it all. All right, on our next item on the agenda, the presentation items. Our first item on the agenda for presentation items is the free little library, Pheasant Run Park. As the agenda says, the presentation items at this point are for information only. Any possible action could be taken by the board at either the next meeting, or if we so decide at this meeting as well. So if the applicant would please step up, free little library, and give us a little.
Mr. Chairman, actually, we did put this one on the agenda for this evening, since it was.
Okay.
We felt it was.
Yes.
Simple enough for you.
Very good. Thank you. Go ahead, come on up, join us, give us your name.
Okay.
Let us know what's going on.
Lived in New Britain for 22 years. And love my little neighborhood. We love to read. We swap books back and forth. I thought it would be a nice idea to introduce the free little library into our neighborhood. We have a nice little park. It's called Pheasant Run Park. It's right on my street. I walk a lot. I pass it every day. I would be maintaining it. A former neighbor has built it already. So we got approval from Park and Recreation, and then this was the next step to get approval. So I have information, if anyone wants it. I was asked to keep it brief, so.
And there was, if I could add also, we updated the meeting packet this morning with updated pictures.
Yeah.
So if you want to visualize it, it's a part of the meeting packet as well.
I can give pictures as well.
Sure.
This is behind the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great idea. Lovely.
I have the whole package. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yours in color, mine in color.
Yeah, there's a similar one in the Schoolhouse Road
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
Park,
We did with it Veterans Park.
Veterans Park, yeah, so,
To see them
yeah, it's
spreading.
Nice to see the promotion of reading and not just on a tablet, an actual physical. Some people will call us Luddites, but
Message to the children in the community that, it's a good thing to share with neighbors, and it brings community together too, and we're all about that.
very cool. Well, thank you. I think the board is definitely, well, we're, that's part of our,
It's
it's on the agenda later, so.
Okay. Yeah.
But I do believe the board is going to support this project, so we'll have a motion later in regards to that, so.
Thanks. Stay for that, for the whole meeting?
No, if you'd like to go home and
Is there any, as I say, is there
not
any
fall
other-
asleep in the next half hour, unless you want to take a nap.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Terry, I'll make sure Shell reaches out to you tomorrow morning.
Okay,
I'll make sure she gets updated and she'll reach out to you tomorrow.
okay, very good, thank you. And I know that Bill May was going to get in touch with you too about actually.
Why do you think your budget presentation is gonna take that long? Should we hold the proverbial over his head?
Hey, you've given me until 8:15. That's an entire hour and 5 minutes.
What would the board be so inclined to flip and let the subdivision land development speak before we do the budget?
I would be okay with
Yes.
that. That's fine.
Rest of the board?
Yeah.
All right,
Sure.
and next we were going to quote unquote table item B until the
Yes.
conclusion of 5.
Well, you need a motion to table something, so you should.
We're gonna get to.
We're gonna get to
Get
it.
today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you-
Okay, so we're going to move on
You're right.
to number 5, subdivision land development projects. Again, these will only be informational only unless we are otherwise indicated. Any action would be then taken at a future meeting. So A, under our subdivision land development projects for this evening is 55 Curley Mill Road. If you please stand up to the table, name, address, serial number.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Todd Savarese, on behalf of Ed Mortimer, and also President is Rachel Butch, the professional engineer responsible for engineering the plan. Before the board this evening is a pretty straightforward minor subdivision plan. Mr. Mortimer appeared before the planning commission on October 25th, where he received a recommendation, a motion to recommend approval of the plan, subject to some conditions that Mr. Mortimer is accepting of. We have Gilmore's October 14, 2022 review letter, and each of the comments contained therein as relevant are will complies. So if any member of the board has questions of Mr. Mortimer or Ms. Butch, they're here to answer any question. Otherwise, very broadly, it's just the 9.73 acre parcel that's being proposed to be subdivided into one additional lot of 7.42 acres. There's a condition, there will be a condition placed on the plan and against no further subdivision. There's some conservation easements, but it's a generous sized parcel and it's zoned for the use B1. Mr. Mortimer intends to build a home for he and his wife and family on the property.
Very good, Craig.
Actually, and I didn't have a chance to discuss this with the applicant. It's actually good news. Planning Commission requested one of their conditions for us to meet with Public Works to look at the frontage as far as any road widening or stormwater improvements. I kind of knew the answer because that's already been developed. This is one of the remaining, actually the remaining lot of the entire Borden Farm subdivision, which has been subdivided. So Janine and Ryan of Public Works met out there, and there's no need, the recommendation from Public Works in our office, there's no need to widen the road or do any stormwater management improvements. So I know that'll be part of the approval if you for the next meeting, but I just want you to know that we did do that, and there's no other improvements needed. So that was one of their conditions. The condition that they agreed to a planning commission, and we also support the public works directors as well, is just to make sure the driveway sloped away from, I don't have the tax parcel number in front of me, which you've agreed to do. And that there is sufficient room to plant the trees in an informal arrangement. Street trees there's overhead wires. I think trees were removed before, I think Mr. Moore, I think they actually removed some trees and trimmed them. Pico did. Yeah, Pico did. So planning commission was willing to allow him to plant more on site and along the driveway in between the lots. Subject to our approval, we can work that with the engineer. So they also looked at that and recommended that could be done. So that's the only update I have, and as Mr. Savory said, planning commission approved it 6-0. I don't have any additional comments as part of your settlement agreement, so we worked out all the issues prior, and if you guys so choose, we'll prepare a approval resolution for your next meeting. There's only one new lot being developed. There are no changes. I don't know, I guess the public isn't here. We had residents at planning commission that were concerned about drainage, some other issues. They agreed to work with us on that, and we'll make this part of the approval.
There were some changes from the settlement agreement, but
Yeah, so we have that documented.
you approve that.
Yes, we wrote out that would be part of the approval resolution, sewer alignment, the width, of the whole portion of the flag lots, 25 to now 50 feet approximately. That allows more room for the driveway to be shifted away from the neighbor. I forget the third one, there was another change. It was all.
But there were, but
there's
you
Yeah,
approve them
yeah,
as,
signed off.
okay.
Oh, sure. It was just a
The monuments, the
conservation.
monuments,
What?
the monuments,
Conservation easement monuments.
yes,
I don't know if we're already showing the plans or not.
to grant them a waiver from the need for the monuments and put in iron pins instead.
Rachel, did you request a waiver for concrete monuments versus iron pin?
Or anything that's not along the ultimate right of way. Yeah, we request the waiver along actually, the waiver request doesn't say sanitary easement, but I would say along the conservation easement and the sanitary easement. We would request to put pins rather than concrete monuments, yeah.
And I think based on the last couple projects, the board would like to see concrete monuments, they're all on. Yeah, it's been an issue, so,
Especially along the conservation
yeah.
area.
You'll need to do concrete monuments along the right of way and the conservation easement areas, area. And I can work with your office on where to put on it, so it'll be a partial waiver. Understood. All right, so.
Is the board okay with all that?
I'm fine with that.
Does the board have any questions? Any questions? Is there anything else staff or? No? All right, I believe that concludes the presentation then.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good night.
Good night, thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll go to B, Chalfont Motor Lodge, 413 West Butler Avenue. If you'd like to step to the table, introduce yourselves.
Very much. Kelly McGowan and Kevin Riley here to discuss the Chalfont Motor Lodge property. I am going to largely keep my mouth shut tonight, I think, informational purposes only. Kevin wanted the opportunity to have the board take a look at the sketch plan that they are developing. As you know, this property is located adjacent to the current county builder site on Butler Avenue. For that reason, it is uniquely important, both we think to the continued redevelopment of that area of the Butler Avenue corridor, but also to county builders as the developer of the adjacent site, and in order to have the most successful project that they can have on that site. You're all familiar with the Chalfont Motor Lodge property. It is, I think, what we could probably consider an underutilized property at this point in your corridor. It is zoned in the OP zoning district. This is kind of a, like a hodge of zoning in this area of the township. So this is OP, next door is C1. You have some residential across the street and obviously some residential to the back. So for that reason, when we look at this property and understanding your focus on the corridor lends itself to that same type of mixed use development that we've discussed in the past. Kevin has the aerial up. You could see that the property is situate both to the, or is that Kevin, the south of the existing property and then to the rear as well. Kind of loops around that site. So it has the frontage on Butler, and then obviously it's that woodland into the rear. The proposal that Kevin will show you is again mixed use, looking to provide that frontage commercial that we've talked about in the past, and then residential to the back. You wanna
Sure.
go into it?
Good evening. Kevin Riley, County Builders. We've met many times. We have the Chalfont Motor Lodge under agreement to sale. As you all know, we bought the property adjacent for 7 acres and we have that under construction right now. Construction going very well. I haven't heard any complaints from anybody in the township, so my subcontractor is doing a great job and that works going. That's phase one. We consider that phase one. If that's all that project ends up being, so be it. It's going to be a successful project and it's going to be something very nice in New Britain Township. We'd like to move forward with phase two, which is a property adjacent to us, which is the Chalfont Motor Lodge. As Kelly mentioned, we believe that Chalfont Motor Lodge just to be, old and outdated and, I'm gonna stay polite, but that's the way it looks, just some photos. And now that all the trees are down, it's way out there in the breeze, hanging out there. To either side of it is quite attractive. It's, as Kelly said, it's the hole in the donut. From our property and then Spatola's and Maeve's Tire and Merck Dome, and then on the other side is the retail. So everything's new and modern along that corridor, with the exception of the Chalfont Motor Lodge. What we'd like to do. Here's phase one, approved and under construction. Stormwater basin is installed. The walking trail around the rear of the property is stoned in and installed. We're bringing our fill dirt in and putting our utilities in and getting ready to start building construction in the spring. So we're there, on there every day. Mike's there, a few times a week, the two partners on the project. So that's phase one. We'd like to incorporate the Chalfont Motor Lodge. That's phase two. And this would be the overall project. So at a different scale, still showing the apartment building and the commercial building pad. Continuing on, what we're showing now is another commercial building pad. We're calling it right now medical office. There is no tenant. But what we did is we continued on that public green. So there's nearly an acre now. If these properties were combined, it'd be nearly an acre out front of public green that we could talk about doing all kinds of nice attractive things with. We would use the existing, I should say, soon to be existing, single proposed access point on Butler Avenue that would connect all of the commercial in the corridor. We would continue the sidewalk. Well, that's going in regardless, but the sidewalk, the fencing, the benches, the bicycle racks, all those nice amenities along Butler Avenue to redevelop the property and improve the corridor. In the rear, we were proposing 52 townhomes, and that would be coming off of Area Avenue. Area Avenue comes right to our site and dead ends right at the site. So we would just extend in with residential roads, they're 28-foot wide, with extra parking and green space around the buffers. We would just have an emergency access connection between the residential and the commercial. And we'd like to connect the trail system. All of that is, if you're agreeable and you like the idea of this concept, we'd love to talk about all kinds of different connections of the trail system. Sidewalk everywhere throughout the community. Sidewalk is out there on Area Avenue, so that would take us on and out. Townhomes that we propose. We're working on the architecture. This is a certain idea that we have that we're pretty fond of. Stone and brick fronts in their entirety. These are 3-story slab on grade townhomes with 2-car garage and 2-car driveways. They're nearly 3,000 square feet of living. They would be, luxury in every sense of the word. We're along the front. We showed this sketch and we would continue it on. This is a good flavor of how we feel the commercial corridor would look. This is the apartment building, and this could be both of the commercial pads as you head down Butler Avenue. So that's kind of the flavor that we're thinking on the architecture as well. We did talk briefly with staff. I've been working with Craig to try to improve the plan. I know this is the second or third iteration of it. We have reduced our townhouse count We have reduced our number of access points along Butler Avenue. We are showing commercial in its entirety along Butler Avenue. So we're trying to possibly hit some of the points that were bones of contention in phase one. So this is our idea. We think it's the best use of the property. And we're basically here just for informational purposes and see if you're interested. Obviously, we would need maybe not so much zoning relief, but perhaps create, an overlay district or something along those lines. And Kelly could talk more about. She has some ideas on the mechanisms of how we can make it happen. If you're agreeable and you want to see something happen there.
Does the board would the board like to offer any opinions, or would you like to let Craig have a say or two?
Let Craig have a say.
Everyone else, is that okay?
Craig and I first. Well, give us some background of the conversations you've had and where they have already moved on things.
I think I 100% agree with what Kevin said, as far as, and maybe, Kelly and Sean, you talk about the method, what they're requesting eventually, you'll need to vote, which is basically change zoning to allow this. I think Kevin and I talked, the first decision is whether or not, you're meeting with the townhouses in the back. He doesn't have tenants yet for the commercial up front. I think you already said enough on the apartments. I think originally there was another apartment in phase one. I assume that's off the table. I think that the density of the townhomes can be discussed and slightly modified, but I think he's starting to get to the point where the financials don't work with the infrastructure improvements. The other discussion, I guess it was the neighboring property. And I know a couple board members have asked for them to look into that. There's a commercials piece there that which would spread out this project a little bit more and do a more mixed use development. That's the behind the State Strip Mall. It's not.
There's a
Commercial, yeah, but the way back to stays. That's been vacant as long as that's 15 years or so. And that's not on the table tonight. I know that was some discussion, so I let Kevin and Kelly know about that. To be honest with you, you don't see much zoning information because we don't have that worked out yet, so I don't have a lot more. I've not done a review. I provide my feedback only, not necessarily on behalf of you. I'll be upfront with everybody in this room. I think townhouses are the discussion item. They're aware of that, and it's pretty much up to them to persuade you that townhouses are okay in this area. Again, that layout isn't set in stone, but it's kind of worked out from a traffic standpoint. Their access would be back through Erie Avenue. And then there's also a right in, right out. If they chose not to go out to the schoolhouse, they could come out down there at the corner, but there would not be a connection through the parking lot out to near the apartment building. We all agree that's not probably the best to mix the uses up. So this is the layout. It's not going to change that much other than probably maybe the configuration of the buildings. So I think what you see is close to what you would get if so choose to change the zoning. So,
that intersection at the bottom is a restricted right turn only, is that right?
Yes,
But people make left
Consistent,
turns all
yes.
the time.
yes.
And if we move forward, we go with a full traffic study, resubmit a traffic study, look at the additional, development and make sure to decide whether or not a signal is then warranted at the proposed intersection. I don't think it would be, but we would need to do a traffic study.
The only thing I guess challenge both sides a little bit, being in the middle, hearing feedback from both sides is, I'm not sure what else would be if it's developed. And it's not, county builders. I'm not sure what transition you have single family homes in the back. You've had the residents from Cedar Hill Road in front of you. So I will tell you that the more I looked at it, that commercial piece has been vacant for like I said, 15 years. They have approval for on a 10-acre site for an office building. I forget how big that was, Kevin.
10,000 square feet. The whole site, Craig, is 10 acres, but the piece that hasn't been developed yet is approved right now for a 10,000 square foot office building.
So that's sitting there vacant, ready to go. Anybody can walk in right now for a permit for a 10,000 square foot office building, and no one's walking in here in 15 years. So I'm not saying
Right,
that. Other thing, just to let you know, it's hard just to do general office. You have other applicants right now that are trying to convert office into something else. So it's new territory for all of us. So I don't have if I knew there's a perfect fit for both sides, we would have maybe shown that tonight. I really think you need to focus on, you know, is the density too much, or is it just a townhouse use, and that's all I have.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll say.
I'm not, well, no, I'm not gonna get into townhouses first. I want to just talk about just something that bothers me is that you can't have a one in, one out. One road in, one road out. And I completely agree that the access should not be through the existing commercial use.
Right.
So, you know, it's kind of a non-starter for me in a way, because that's just not sound emergency planning. You know,
What was your concern, Greg?
there's only one road in and one road out.
No, what we propose is an emergency access connecting, basically, the same way we have an emergency access here with grass pavers. We could do an 18-foot wide, grass paver from, the.
Oh, is that like
townhouse.
there's a super faint gray line. I see that now.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, I have to blow this sucker up to see that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I should have mentioned that in my presentation, but yeah, we know because of emergency access that we have to connect them.
Yeah.
So there would be a emergency access drive between the two uses.
Okay. Yeah.
Craig and I also talked
Still
about
don't like
existing,
the little
I
traffic, just one
bring
lane
this up,
all the way
but
out,
existing potential problems that exist out in the Circle Drive area with their stormwater management, and perhaps certain things aren't working perfectly. We would throw our hat in the ring, and as part of this approval is to try to help to make those off-site improvements to get everything working, you know, correctly.
I also talked, besides the Circle Drive swale pipe issue that I think everybody's aware of, there's an existing basin behind the daycare. I mentioned that I did look at that. I discussed it with Kevin. He'd be willing to survey that. We could redesign that to hold back more water. I think I reviewed that well over 15 years ago, and it's an 18-inch pipe, just, you know, water's coming in, water's going out. There's outlet structure and it's well maintained, but I think with new new standards, we could probably hold back even more water that goes directly out the area and then right down that swale. So
Yeah.
I did say if there's any type of an approval with this project, that, you know, would they be agreeable to look at that? And Kevin said, yes, he would be able to make that part of it. So that is on the table.
Yes.
Remind me again, the original project that you're constructing. And although you haven't heard anything from the township supervisors have certainly heard a lot from the residents about that construction. Is there commercial on the first floor of the apartment building?
There's as was approved, 600 square foot commercial space in the apartment building on the ground floor. Yes.
Is that all of it or half?
And the rest of the ground floor, a lot of the other ground floor is gym and lobby and lounge.
So
So yes, there is 600 square foot commercial space in the apartment.
But the other building is all.
The other building, yeah. So phase one is the apartment building with the 600 square foot commercial on the ground floor. And then this building is approved as part of phase one as well.
So I live in Circle Drive, so I
No,
would make it-
I'm moaning about something. I was just looking at the plan. I'm sorry. Sorry about that.
So I'm not gonna say not in my backyard, but there is issues with the water right from that stub, so that would be great to have some help with that overflow. I don't see a lot of open space for the people that are there. It just looks very dense to me. So going from family homes, and then they would be able to see those homes, see the townhomes diagonally opposite. So it's just density to me, looks very dense. What other kind of stormwater would you be looking at on that property? Because it doesn't seem like there's much room with all the townhomes to do much stormwater. You seem to be talking about a lot of stormwater off the property, but not on the property.
So no engineering design has been done yet, but with myself being an engineer and my engineer working on this, we are proposing a stormwater basin Everything flows that way, you know, to the, what I say is the top of the sheet, towards this open space. So this right now is the second proposed above ground stormwater management basin. And we would have to meet all requirements, for the township or the state. And we can do that with a basin that size. So phase 1 basin is here, and that's already in and constructed. Phase 2 basin would be in this general location.
Hmm.
And there's, in that area, are you basically taking all the trees down? I know the front is very bare. There's not many trees or anything. What about the back? Is there much natural resources back there now?
Yeah, it's wooded, but what we try to do is really respect the folks on the backyards of Cedar Hill Road. So
Yeah.
we pulled the houses further away from that property line so that we can preserve, you know, some more of the woodlands along this property line. But showing the property, the existing buildings, I know it's far for you folks, I can bring it up closer if you want, but these are all the existing buildings for the Chalfont Motor Lodge. And we would probably be taking the trees down to like this location, just a little bit further. I can bring it up. Just so I can show everybody. I know it's so far away.
Yeah.
But,
Oh, yeah, there is quite a bit of the trees.
this is the office building in the front of the property, and these are the 4
Buildings.
rooms, I guess. It's 22 rooms. And I did talk to the owner today. They're on monthly leases. So they're not yearly leases, they're not weekly leases, they're monthly leases that some people stay for a while and some people stay for a month. And the property line is over here. And we would be having townhouses probably over to around here. And the basin would go right here. And I know, I don't want to bring a regional plan, but I know it's hard to see.
Yeah.
from that
And it
far.
would sort of tie into going towards the creek with the other stormwater basin, wouldn't it? Is that where the?
Yeah, we would have a direct discharge to the creek now. We surveyed the property and really the creek is pretty much on the property line and we could discharge directly to it. So I know, and I'm not gonna ask Craig to agree, but I know for a fact that there's runoff coming off of this property going to Circle Drive and we would stop that, you know. Most sites are developed, you know, back in 20, 30, 40 years ago, there was no stormwater management.
It's not really through the trees.
Where's the
Yeah.
stormwater management now? The voter lodge.
They don't have it,
Right.
right,
Yeah.
there is no.
That's the easiest way.
And it's the same thing, it's the same thing, I met with the neighbors, regarding Spatolas, and once I showed them what I'm doing, they're like, I think you're cutting off all the drainage, I think that, you know, we won't have a problem, I said, well, let's revisit this, we all agree, let's revisit in the spring, after my pavement's in, and if we have to do something, we will, but that's what it is, a lot of this stuff is just coming undetained and just sheet flowing, you know, all the way down, so we will intercept that, you know.
It's not really through the trees. It's actually it's right through here. This swale has basically turned into a little creek,
Right,
femoral stream,
And
and
we-
that's the major part.
right, and we would stop that.
Yeah.
We would be able to get that into inlets because everything flows that way.
Mhm.
So our development will be able to capture all that runoff and then get it into the basin and then release it much slower to the creek. So it would fix that problem.
Okay. And then when you say luxury townhomes, what does, I'm just looking
Starting
at,
at eight.
are we pushing out our kids from being able to ever be able to buy a home or a townhome in our own
So
area?
I
So
live in uncertain
you're
times.
laughing at me, but that's what we're gonna get.
We live in uncertain times.
Yeah.
It's Central Bucks School District, the location's outstanding.
Oh, love the
It'd
location.
be
Yeah.
and Mike and I are always trying to be conservative, it would be over $500,000 townhome today. With inflation, with interest rates, I don't know where it would be in, you know, 2 years if we're able to build them.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's the market.
That's it. They can give me some background. What do townhomes go for now? I bought my house 26 years ago. My house
Brand new construction, they're in the
Yeah.
fives.
in the 5s. That's what you
The
start
ones
at.
that,
In this
Um,
area.
Yeah.
we're over 5.
Yeah,
Right.
so that's,
3,000 square foot town.
That's a big.
big town.
Right.
I am asking.
No, I know.
Yeah. I'm happy to share the information.
Yeah.
too. I mean,
Yeah.
we gotta kind of be on the same team. You know.
Let me ask you, you did a survey on children that would be expected for the apartments and told us that we weren't be adding to the burden. What is the expected ratio of children for these townhouses?
I don't have that number, but I can get it for you. There's studies done, and I can send that to Craig this week.
Is there a
Yeah,
study
it's
done that's,
usually the one
Yeah.
per townhouse at the
Not
most.
even.
Well,
It's less
but
than-
that study's from 2008. Has there been any
Yeah,
study
I'll
since
get you
then?
the new information.
The newest
the-
one?
when I'm, yeah, whatever that
Yeah,
is.
Colebrook
whatever
told
it
us,
was,
what, like,
it's like
15 or
accepted
20?
when clients talk, it's around 0.8.
And
0.8.
that's what they said.
Yeah, is what they
Right.
consider like in the industry now, other things. I am not, right, we are not fiscal people, so there are other factors, including location that go into that, desirability of the schools, things like that. Size of the townhouses, so we would want to give you that information.
These would be 3-bedroom townhouses, never 2 bedrooms, never 4 bedrooms. They're 3-bedroom townhouses. I don't know.
So I'll be the one that speaks up and says that, I'm really not in favor of townhouses back there. That's all we've been brought recently by
People,
people who Ms. McGowan also represents, and, I don't know, maybe single family homes.
Mm.
I'm really not in favor of more townhouses. That's my opinion.
Oh, my opinion is I think it's just too dense for that site.
What would be a good, oh no, I can't say that.
Well, let him tell you if you can't say it.
You guys are getting good.
I'm trying to think of a way of how can we reduce the density? What are some of the
Just
things?
ask, you can ask.
Well, some of the things you can
What would
do.
be something that would reduce the density for you that would make us happy?
Ask for less infrastructure, and it's a balancing act
Yeah.
of finances.
Yeah, I'm here to be a partner and take your feedback. So if you're saying that if it's less density, we have a chance, then I'm talking to my partner and seeing, where the numbers crunch out. They want a lot of money for the ground. I know when a couple years ago, we came in with 60, we did go down to 52. I don't think that's insignificant,
nice and down, correct.
Yeah.
And I'm not asking you the number right here, but
Mhm.
maybe we can, honor that request and lose some.
Well, I think if you take each one of the clusters that are 6 and make them 5, that will knock off some units, but it'll also give you some more green space.
Mhm.
Even though I know there is a lot of space behind the units that are down right where Erie Avenue comes in, eliminating that whole row would be really great. That would give you a nice open area down there at the bottom, in case you needed a larger area for your stormwater maintenance.
I mean, the ones that are right off of Erie.
Right off, yeah, right there.
That, yeah.
Those ones you're talking
Yeah.
about.
So this is what so I'll chime in real quick if I can. I told Kevin, my idea was to eliminate the middle 2 units and have a nice green, flat open space. He didn't want to do that because he wanted your input, and, rightfully so, we all look at this a little different. I was looking at a courtyard, a flat green area, some minor amenities, nothing big. Because you did that out front on 202 on Butler Avenue, where we had this green space, and I thought, and that's where
That's a good
everybody
idea.
looks at it differently. Like, I was just gonna add, still wants to take away, but I was looking at more of an open space area courtyard.
The word we're all getting is more open space.
Oh,
That would be the thing, and it would be, let's see what's good for the ground, good for the way, but yes.
There's really, on this plan, there's really no
And
open
speak.
space.
No, so like, my issue is a planning issue. And that is that, we've been told that there is how many thousand square foot building is approved for right behind these townhomes as proposed.
Used to be a Sears warehouse that was gonna go in there.
What's it gonna look like if that ever happens?
Sears.
Planning wise, we're
Yeah.
gonna have an office building immediately to the rear of all these residential units.
Mhm.
If that happens, what's that gonna do to the way this looks, the way this interacts, the 2 parcels interact with one another? Like, where,
Parcel behind.
the parcel behind it,
That strip.
that big
behind-
old strip
way
right
back.
there,
Oh,
has an
yeah.
approved
Yeah.
big old,
Where
how
the
many
deer-
thousand
where the
square
deer
feet?
live.
Mean to the
Because every
side.
time I
right
To
go
the
over there,
side,
I pick
right,
something
so.
Yeah.
What's the transition? Where, what are we
There
getting
isn't,
there?
yeah.
We're going building behind homes, you're gonna have families. living in these townhomes, and then you're gonna have this big old office building with all this impervious
No
space
buffer between.
and no buffer whatsoever. I mean, in an ideal world, I would love to see that parcel incorporated into this, and then there be more vision. You know, you're shoehorning in 52 units on what is it, 8.3 acres? Or is it 9.3?
Yes.
8.3 acres.
Well, it's
You know,
8.3, the whole thing.
The whole thing is 8.3 acres.
So it's got
It's got a
Yeah.
office building
It's
and
prime.
just really-
And
52
and in spite of the emergency access road connecting the commercial to the townhomes, I wish it was a loop road. I don't like one road into a spot. Emergency access pathways are fantastic. I mean, whatever. But in reality, if people are in a rush to get out or this, that, or the other thing, and a way is blocked, what does that do? You know,
What's your impervious ratio for this plan on that?
It's under the OP threshold, which, they did that.
Well, you're not planning on building OP, so.
Right.
yeah, I mean, OP is a minimum 10-acre lot, so throw OP out.
but that's what it's.
That's what it's
zoned
zoned for.
That's what's in-
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's OP.
It's zoned OP, and that's a minimum 10-acre lot if you're gonna develop it in any way. So, we're
So if I can add one thing related to the acreage, although you haven't approved it yet, your Old Brothers proposed townhouse development behind Wawa is sitting on 8.6 acres,
right.
and they have 44 proposed townhomes.
Okay.
You're at 52 on 8.3.
52 and an office building.
And an office building.
And an office. 44 on 8.6.
But that was part of an original 25 acres with the Wawa and
That
everything.
used to be a whole, that has a whole mixed.
Yeah.
But it's just looking at density on acreage
Yep,
that they own, that they're building on it, just to give you an idea.
I mean, I'm not as opposed to the concept of townhomes. It's just, I feel like it's not creative enough. It doesn't offer enough green. It doesn't take into account the neighboring parcel. For us as supervisors, we don't, I would think we don't want to see an office building in everybody's backyards in 10 years.
Well, see, that's the problem. Wayback Burgers, TD Bank, the daycare, that whole parcel, and then all the way out, that little stump of area is all one parcel.
Yeah,
So it's,
yeah.
So in summary, correct me if I'm wrong here, I know Mary Beth is opposed to townhomes. If we were to talk to the owner of this property, you would like to see us do that. You would like to see if it's a potential to get that included. I guess that's my one first assumption. And my second assumption is that you're not saying, oh, hell no, you're just saying it's too dense.
I'm just one voice.
I'm just asking back because I don't want to, face this for years and then come
Yeah,
back. And
no, we understand.
I would like to see a little more creativity other than just slamming as many townhouses onto a space as possible. There has to be something else. I mean, if you're gonna build residential, then put in residential that matches what it backed up to, which are single family homes.
I don't know if you have enough room. If you acquire the other piece, you might. You have what's called New Britain Walk, the neo-traditional
Yeah.
layout. And I was in Doylestown today, and fortunately, I was thinking about this on my lunch about if they say no to towns, where else to push you? And you and I haven't talked yet, but maybe you look at something little, if you had more land, you went to single family neo-traditional look. I don't know if that's I've never talked about that, but or even the architecture. I know everybody likes looking at townhomes, and I've heard that feedback. So maybe some type, even if you want, how much larger you want to go on these, but thinking outside the box that way, some of the stuff that was done in Doylestown and neighboring areas where it's just not cookie cutter townhomes. I think you need more land for that.
Yeah, New Britain Walk would be nice, but there again, you need that other parcel, at least the title.
No, yeah.
how about pods? Instead of having a straight flat rectangle, if we're thinking out of the box, instead of a rectangle of townhomes, think of pods where you have different entrances and there's 4 apartments is not the right word, but for residences.
Units.
Units, and so that it looks more cottage-like or something. I mean,
What we
it's-
used to call multiplexes.
Yeah, what was that thing that was part of High Point that was kind of sounds similar to that?
Yeah.
Remember that other use at High
The
Point?
atrium use?
Yeah, the atrium use that they couldn't figure out how to build. Yes.
I'm thinking about those places that are, I know it's more out there, but it's still, it's more in with the land. So it's not like vertical, I don't know how to describe it, but I'm trying to
That
work
three
out.
story had vertical, more like,
Are you talking like
Well-
a one building that's actually 4 units and they're sort of back to back with different
Cynthia?
entrances?
Drive into the Highlands,
they're called quads. so-
we call them quads.
Yeah,
Then you have a ranch on one part, then you have a 2-story, then you have another 2-story and a ranch on the other. And so it's 4 units, but they have different architectural styles to them, so that
and
don't
they
look
look
like,
like a house
Yeah.
rather than,
look like an oversized house, but they're 4 units in there.
I promised the manager I would not let this go sideways.
You're getting dagger eyed.
Yep.
So
it's just an
how
idea.
about, we
Yeah,
have
it's a
a
great
good
idea.
relationship, I understand, I got feedback from everybody.
Well, hold on. Steph, do you have anything to offer?
I think you guys have all covered. I mean, I think it is
Are
too
you-
dense. I would love to see more green space. One thing I think is really missing is somewhere for the people who are living there, some sort of recreation area. I mean, you have the open space out on Butler Avenue, but nobody's gonna let their kids go out and play on Butler Avenue. So, you know, some sort of green space where those people can have community space
Off of Butler Avenue,
off of Butler Avenue.
where they
Away
don't
from-
smell the.
Away from Butler
Oh,
Avenue.
yeah.
So maybe-
Way away.
We can go back, we can talk, we'll see what they can come up with. They'll run it by me and then we'll see how things play out. I'll give them some feedback along with staff and then come back and show you what we came up with. And if you still don't like it, then, you know, I just don't want this to keep, like Kevin said, I want to keep going, but.
I don't want them going to a lot of expense at this point until we get down to
See,
more.
There's no zoning information either. They have it, but at some point, time is money too, so.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Tell you what I think we don't want, if you go to the corner of Butler and Bristol,
Absolutely not.
Understood. That's why we at least we showed you this.
Good call on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, but if we put 8 of them all together, it still looks.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, take care.
Kelly, how many
You
are we
ready to
getting in the
skate that?
Highlands? 100
36.
Yeah, me either. Gonna get fired up.
I know it's 130 something, okay,
More for me.
At a time.
More for me.
thank you.
Next.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Residential seems logical, but it's.
Oh, wow. I haven't even gone to the next, I haven't even gone back to the agenda because it blanked out on me.
Does the same thing. It looks like a big house.
I got a sidebar going on here, so I gotta give me a second.
Two larger.
Yeah,
houses in
okay.
one building.
313.
It's on.
That works, fine.
13, just north of Dublin. It's a total development called Regency.
I looked in a plot and condo down in Horsham.
All right, so we're going to take a step back in our agenda and go back to item 4B, the 2023 preliminary budget presentation. I'd like to thank Matt for making his presentation. Board, how do you feel?
Happy.
Any questions? Any questions?
I can barely see it. But that's your presentation, we're done?
Oh, you got a spider friend.
He's really taking to heart our suggestions.
He's fine.
Also running that way
Yeah, I'm not.
and not coming down from the ceiling on me as usual.
Spider.
Spiders. It's only a no spider.
I get spider bites on my ankles every meeting.
Screen. We are.
Remember.
Yeah, we're there.
Maybe not.
Oh, no.
You died.
My laser.
Oh,
We're in here, preliminary budget. So I updated it from the draft budget to show that we are looking at the presentation and hopefully a motion, there you go. A motion to advertise the budget tonight. Carry over from the last presentation. Continued fiscal responsibility, less cash reserves budgeted than the 2022 budget. Favorable health insurance costs. That is just another benefit for us to be a member of the Delaware Valley Trusts. We continue to realize significant savings of being a part of that great organization. This budget also includes, the bottom two are the most important for this budget presentation. It expands the current levels of service with staffing. If you remember the org chart that was passed a couple of months ago, it included the expansion of administration and public works. Those have been approved. It also, you're going to hear me talk in a minute, it also includes the creation of one additional position within the police department. And after listening to the board at the draft budget presentation, this preliminary budget fully funds the capital plan, the 5-year capital plan. As a review, here are the primary sources of revenue for both of our operating funds. Our operating funds are the general fund, that is the big nugget, Fund 1, and our Parks and Rec Ops Fund. The focus of this presentation is mostly on our operating funds. As I said a couple of weeks ago, we are a people business. 78% of our budget is related to people. We serve the residents and taxpayers, and to do that, we need people to do it. 78%. The remaining 12% are those routine costs, those things, the stuff, the materials for the people to do the jobs. So I'd like to talk a little bit about what that means in the people and the change in this budget versus the 2022. I've color coded it. Green are these positions that have already been adopted by the Board of Supervisors through the updated organizational chart. Got the Director of Planning and Zoning, the part-time events coordinator within administration, 2 additional crew members allocated for Public Works Department, and the creation of a Public Works, and the creation of a Parks and Rec Department within Public Works. Also included in the recently adopted org chart was a part-time police services clerk. What the preliminary budget also includes is the addition of a proposed full-time traffic safety officer within the police department, which would look something like this. Here is the organizational chart for the police department. They're a little washed out. Here is the part-time vacant, currently vacant police services clerk, reporting directly to the chief of police. Per Chief Clauser's recommendation and ask of the board, he would like to create a new position that directly reports to him, traffic safety officer. The idea is that we would like to promote a current officer within the ranks who currently focuses on traffic safety and be able to then fill that newly vacant position with a new entry-level police officer. Moving forward, this budget includes staff recommendations to make this work, the expansion of staff. We, as the department heads, my management team, have been obsessing about this budget for the past 2-3 months. And we really believe that the modest increase in staffing will really enable us to respond better, react better, and become more proactive in all of the department's roles. This budget also fully includes the fully funding the capital improvement plan. If you remember in the draft budget, the capital improvement plan was not fully funded for Fund 18. That was the only one. If you go back and look at the capital improvement plan, Fund 18 was the only one that was not fully funded beyond year 2023. through our conversation with the board during my draft presentation, the board was unanimous that you would like to fully fund that and recommended a 1 mil tax increase dedicated for Fund 18 to fully fund the capital plan moving forward. Since our last meeting, I just wanted to say thank you to Vice Chair Bill Jones for spending time with staff to talk about that last meeting and talk about how we can move forward with the budget. And one of the recommendations that we discussed during that meeting was at the end of this year, by the end of this month, beginning of next month, we'll have a significant cash reserve in Fund 1. To use some of that money at the end of the year, we would transfer it to Fund 18 as a shot in the arm, additional general fund money is a shot in the arm to help also better position Fund 18 in the future. So it's a combination of a 1 mil increase plus a one-time transfer of Fund 1 cash reserves at the end of 2022. Moving forward, if you remember, the capital plan will always be done on an annual basis at the beginning of the year. So the capital plan will then be updated at the beginning of 2023 to be adopted mid-year, which we will then be able to show in the funding part of the capital plan how the 1 mil increase in the transfer of Fund 1 cash reserves affects the capital plan moving forward. Land preservation, really quickly. We do not have dedicated real estate tax millage for land preservation. We generate revenue for land preservation through an additional EIT 0.125%. It's expected to generate in 2023 roughly $800,000 into the land preservation fund. What this budget includes is a different type of transfer from the land preservation fund into our Parks and Rec operating fund. We can use a portion of our land preservation fund to support the maintenance, upkeep, operations of that land that has been secured through the township using land preservation funds. Future considerations, not going to spend much time on this. As you've heard me say beginning last year, I would like the board to consider to continue to budget less cash reserves in our annual operating budget. Last year, I recommended the reduction of $150,000 in that budgeted amount. This preliminary budget, I'm happy to announce, hits that goal. It is $150,000 less than the money that we budgeted in the 2022 budget. Incorporate the capital improvement plan and to highlight and identify how much our our general fund reserves should be at the end of the year. So really quickly, I expanded this from my last presentation. If it looks familiar to you, the top two were included in my draft presentation to kind of a back of the notebook quick calculation of how much recommended cash reserves for the general fund operating fund should be. We should have $1.625 million in cash reserves. That's the minimum recommended amount that is recommended by the Government Finance Officers Association. So we currently have 1.175 sitting in our Fund 15, which is our general reserve fund. In that meeting that we had with Vice Chair Mr. Jones, we are confident that we'll be able to transfer $500,000 at the end of this fiscal year into Fund 15 to get us to 1.775.
What's Fund 15?
That is, Fund 15 is our general fund reserve.
Okay. I think you want.
Yeah, I got a little happy. It should be 1.675.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
If I get a
Magical 100,000.
1.675. Therefore, we would exceed the recommended cash reserves. That's a really good move. Fund 15 is that general fund reserve.
Okay.
Fund 15 should be used in conjunction with Fund 1, because those are general fund dollars, together to see how much cash reserves you have. That's really good fiscal planning. Remember this, we at 2023 are projected to be here. We followed all the way over here, it's at 1.6. We don't wanna, we wanna try to stay here. So you see projecting, we don't know what's happening out here, right? This is just a planning model. We hope to keep this line within these two lines moving forward. That's the ultimate goal. So here we go. What does this mean? Staff is recommending changes to real estate tax millage. Let's start with capital equipment, Fund 18. Per the board's input from my draft presentation, we are recommending a change in addition of 1 mil to help us fund our capital equipment fund, going from 0 to 1. Additionally, we reviewed Fund 7, or Parks and Rec Operations Fund. It was 2.4625. We're recommending to reduce it to 2.25. We're confident that we are able to do that, leveraging long-term availability of our land preservation fund, reduce it by this much, and take 0.2125 and move it to the general fund and add an additional $0.5 mil to Fund 1. Total 0.65, taking the 0.2125 from Parks and Rec, adding it to 0.5 for a total millage rate increase of 1.4375 across all funds. That's staff recommendation to support the police department's reorganization, and expansion, in addition of the additional full-time traffic safety officer. Looking at the average, I know Chairman Hunt doesn't like the average, but I also added median. Just to show you, right? Our average MBT tax bill for 2022 is $528. Average. Median, 421, meaning half is higher, half is lower. Proposed, $586 per year. Per year. Let's sink in. That is one heck of a bargain. Think about the services that you get that are offered at the municipal level, full police services, public works, snow plowing, parks and rec for $586 a year. Look at what the county takes out. They take out almost double, right? The local taxes are where you interact most with those things that you use on a day-to-day basis. Change per year, $58 a year per household, average. Per month, less than $5. Less than $5 a month. Median is even better, less than $4 a month. So this is the proposed real estate tax millage for 2023. My favorite. Just let it sink in. Because oftentimes, I know Craig's like, well, here's the dollar bill. I see that one, right? It's the same one. Of course it is. Because when people go pay their tax bills, they go, well, I'm making more of my money. Well, I understand. Out of every dollar that's paid through your municipal tax collector, New Britain Township gets 8 cents. School district gets more than 3/4. Right? Just think about all of the services and resources that you get at the municipal level for 8 cents on a dollar. So here is the bottom line operational funds. Our difference in the general fund is we have a shortfall of just over $600,000. Here is the $625,000 budgeted cash reserve. Bottom line, showing the end of the year proposed balance, $19,186. Similarly for Parks and Rec, deficit of $27,000. We have a budgeted cash reserve of $157,000. End of the year at $130,000. I'd like this number year to year to be $120,000 to $130,000. I think that's a good number to try to shoot for year over year to have in that operating fund is cash reserve. Next steps, if the board is so inclined, there is a motion on this evening's agenda to advertise the preliminary budget. Once that happens, the budget becomes a public document. We will then advertise it in a newspaper of general circulation for 20 days prior to adopting it, the final budget. We will put a copy of it on our website, available for public inspection. We are proposing the final budget be presented at the first meeting in December. Additionally, a motion to adopt at that first meeting in December. And the real estate tax millage resolution to be considered at that meeting as well. How'd I do? Any questions? A lot of it was already discussed during my first presentation, the draft presentation. I really wanted to focus on this slide and the real estate tax millage slides. That's the meat and potatoes of this preliminary presentation, or preliminary budget presentation. What that means for Newburgh Township residents, what the budget includes for us to achieve the reorganization of the police department. We would need that additional $500,000 tax increase to make that happen. Any questions? Comments, concerns? And I don't, if you have questions about the police department plan, certainly Chief Clouser is available to answer any additional questions or concerns.
Well, I think we understand that, it's more than we discussed, obviously, but then things have changed. I don't know how everybody else feels about it, so I'll just let you say your own piece.
Well, I think considering what we're trying to do and where we're trying to go, I think it's a good budget. The chief's made a point that he feels that he needs a traffic person dedicated almost full time if possible. And if a half of him knows what's going to take to get that in place, I think it's worth it. So, and I also, of course, we've already said that we want the capital equipment fund to be funded over a period of time. And that's a $1 million increase there, and I think it's worth its weight. So
if I could just say thank you again, I can't say enough. Thank you, thank you, thank you with the capital improvement plan. It really will be transformative for the township.
And so having that plan, we want to be able to act on that plan, and to act on that plan, we need the resources to be able to do that for the benefit of our township and our residents.
Yes.
So yes, forward thinking.
I was gonna say, I think I appreciate that this is a very forward-thinking budget. I think that's something the board's communicated that we want. I think, not just the capital plan piece, but also the police department looking forward to what, the township needs to be able to serve our residents.
Thank you.
any questions of the audience? Anybody out there?
I'm looking at some things. I'm sorry.
Mike, do we have any public comment?
Well, yeah, I'm getting
Oh,
to
sorry.
that. Yeah, that's all right.
You said you were busy.
No, I was looking at something. I was just looking at something for, the long-term, feasibility of everything and whatnot. Correct me if I'm wrong, just in terms of, that graph for, long-term planning. The Public Works Building millage, when is that loan come? When does that mature? When are we done with that?
Good question. Streetlights is 2024. Public, that one is 2025.
Okay.
I think.
I think
And
so.
so I went and looked at, Bill and I have been talking about that also.
Right.
And I looked at long-term debt obligation, and we're really not going to realize a significant change in our yearly payments.
Right.
The way they're set up, it's going to be average over the next, the other loan that was just taken out.
The bridge loan.
10-year.
Yeah,
It's gonna be like almost, it might drop maybe $10,000 if
Okay.
that.
well, I see we have
It's not
1.2 mils dedicated to the Park and Rec building, so
Yes.
I'm just long-term thinking about,
The way we set up the second loan that we got in 2019, I think. It was staggered in such a way that it was made so that once the Public Works loan got off the books, the new loan stepped up in
right, and
amount.
that millage goes
So,
to that, right?
Yeah, so
Okay.
basically, the amount you'll be paying in total debt service and interest is gonna stay virtually the
It's
same.
virtually the same. There might be a bit of a,
Yeah, a little savings. here.
okay. No, I think it was a job very well done. You know, I was involved obviously with Mary Beth and large portion of the staff in, you know, helping to craft the capital improvement plan, and that millage is definitely needed. And I like the fact that we have a chief that is taking charge downstairs and creating a department that he has a vision for and is more than willing to go to bat for. So, I think that is obviously a necessary millage increase in terms of needing to staff fully the department downstairs. And I thank the chief for his work in putting all that together for us. So, and job well done on the presentation. So yeah, after those statements, that's why I had a question. I was looking at something real quick. So is there any public comment? Do we,
Have anybody else?
no, any public comment on,
On the line, no.
do we have anyone online?
No, we do not.
No, we do not. Okay, well,
It's not even a game tonight.
okay, well, thank you very much, Matt. Appreciate your time in putting this all together for us this evening.
Oh, I love it.
And it is 8:13.
Yeah, he's the one that took up the most time.
I had a question, just
Okay.
looking at the future, yeah, that's what we do. All right, so next item on the agenda is item 6, zoning hearing board application. We have none on this evening's agenda. The next item on the agenda is the action items. So let me find that. All right, at this time, if it is the board's it's at the board's discretion, I am looking for a motion for the board to advertise the 2023 preliminary budget for public review as discussed and presented at this evening's meeting.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have a first and a second. Is there any other comments or questions in regards to the motion? Sensing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, motion B. I'm now looking for a motion from the board to approve the Free Little Library at Pheasant Run Park for the attachment and this evening's presentation.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
First and a second, are there any other comments or questions in regards to this motion? Sensing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. All right, motion C. This time I'll be looking for a motion from the board to approve the escrow release number 4 final for New Britain Woods. Part of the attachment.
I'd make that motion.
Is there a second?
Well, second.
Who would like to just explain this one real quick? Is this Matt, Craig,
Go ahead.
Michael?
As the board knows, last meeting, we passed a resolution, taking dedication of the final improvements on the site. This is a final housekeeping item that we need the board to approve, and I will work tomorrow with the developer to exchange their performance bond for the maintenance bond.
Very good. Does the board have any questions?
Yeah.
All right, I have a first and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. And I guess, okay. Well,
It says to approve, and so I would say a motion and a second, and
And
then
then-
we do have a representative. Ask, and if yes, yes, if no, no. So if you don't want to do it, you don't vote yes. To approve that.
okay. Okay, all right. I'm just, okay, all right, very good. At this time, I'll take a motion from the board to approve the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia's waiver request from Chapter 10 Health and Safety, Part 1, unnecessary noises for a roof replacement per the attachment.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
I know everyone has questions, so I'll turn that back over to Matt and he can introduce the.
Very good, thank you. I was contacted by a representative from Target Building Construction. Peter?
Yes.
How you doing? Nice to meet you. Hi. We only talked on the phone. Who represents a building contractor who is working at the Chop Surgery Center, at the corner of Schoolhouse and Butler. And they are in the process of replacing the roof, and they have made a request to the board that would enable them to have a waiver from the township's noise ordinance to allow them to do overnight work. This would be a significant ask. It is something that is, it's close to a residential neighborhood that the board knows about already. But I wanted Peter to come in and explain why it was necessary and what that did for operations, and the board have an opportunity to ask him any specific questions. So, Peter, thank you.
Hi, so I'm the project manager for this project for Target Building. The chopper representative could not be here today. They had a personal thing come up, so I'm kind of being both Chop and Target Building. So a surgery center, it also operates as an urgent care on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. That goes until 10 p.m. at night. So that kind of limits when we're able to do this work. We also discussed this intensely with Chop's Environmental Health and Safety Department, who kind of works with us on different construction projects and has the patient's best interests in mind, as well as the staff. Due to the scope of the project over this 22,000 square foot roof, we'll be demoing the existing roof down to the substrate, which is connected to the metal decking, which is then connected to the roof underneath. So any tearing of the roof, any other things will be felt and seen by a little bit of shaking of the roof underneath, and can, we'd like to avoid any possible potential hazards to patients or impacting any of the patient care within the building and allowing them to continue normal operations. Doing this at night would totally allow us to do this. We've taken different provisions to ensure the generators that we'll be using are rated for 50 decibels. So to ensure that they will not go over the 80 you have. I'm not sure we will go over the 80, but we wanted to check in with the township, possibly get the special waiver, and ensure that there was no you guys coming out the site, police coming out the site, and then ask first, don't ask and then ask for forgiveness. Kind of check in with the township. We'd be starting work at 10 p.m. and finishing by 6:30 a.m. every morning before patients enter the building. We'd be doing it in strips so that we can ensure that the roof was waterproof every single day, to ensure that patients were not impacted at all and normal operations could continue.
How long do you think this would take to do?
In total, obviously pending weather, roughly 5 weeks at the most. Transferring to a different type of operation and a different procedure only extends that overall construction time.
So this would be every night for 5 or Monday through Friday?
Yes, we'd not be doing weekends.
Or Monday through Thursday night? Would you be working Friday night?
The goal is Monday through Thursday, potentially Friday if to keep the construction schedule that tight, yes. But Monday through Thursday currently. And we might be starting earlier on Tuesdays and Thursdays because the urgent care is not operational, so they do end at 8 p.m. instead of 10. So those nights we would get a few more hours to get a little bit more done, but the hours of the care center definitely create issues.
Other than the generators, what other noise would you be making?
There's gonna be a forklift, but we will put a silencer on that for the backup alarm. It'll be electric, obviously. And tear off of the roof is a rather noisy process. I don't believe that it would be 80 decibels for like a constant, like a loud car would be, but it would definitely be at times maybe go over that. I'm not 100% sure, but I wanted to at least bring it up to the board.
What about air compressors? Air compressors, will you have any use for external air compressors in the work?
I don't believe so.
What about strobe lights?
There will be, yes, there will be construction. The current lights that we have set using are 30,000 lumens. But they do have dimmable settings that go down to different ones and will be pointed away from, that neighboring. I actually do have,
Remington Oaks.
Perimeter on the
I
corner.
don't know if you guys are familiar with the exact site, but
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead and bring those, but bring those up. Do you have light conage, any breakdowns on any of these plans?
no, I just outlined where the residential area is and the shop building is, as well as other things that can help cut down on these as well.
But it's not just resident, it's not just across the road. The one that's right next door to it is New Seasons.
Yeah,
They're gonna be
This is right
the one
next
that's
door.
Yeah.
right next door.
I mean, Madison's not that far away.
yeah.
Well, I mean,
New Seasons,
New
it's
Seasons
an
is right
assisted
here.
living facility.
Oh, I
next
thought that
door.
was a, okay.
no,
Yeah.
this is assisted living, so this is, and
Yeah,
you
you're-
share a car park.
Well, that's actually not New Seasons Car Park, even though people park there all the
Well,
time.
Share an area. Or a car park.
Technically, you're supposed to be towed if you're in Chop's parking
Yeah.
lot and
This
you're
is the
at New
little
Seasons, but
Yeah.
nobody ever does.
This is all that.
Have you
Sunflower
done
Drive, yeah.
any testing on where these sounds will be heard in terms of, you can do testing of, if you're going to be doing 60 decibels, what is the range at which that's going to be heard at? Have you guys done any on-site testing to give, I mean, that information would be helpful to us.
We definitely can.
The lights are obviously an issue, and New Seasons is an assisted living facility. You're talking senior citizens, some of them not very ambulatory, stuck in their rooms. And if they're stuck in their rooms and all they're hearing is construction all night
5 weeks.
long for 5 weeks, not a good thing.
Yeah.
So,
When you say tearing off the roof is noisy, how are you taking the current roof off?
So we'll be using, saws or the exact, but it's essentially tearing it, like ripping up the membrane and then pulling up the insulation and such.
probably using demo saws,
What?
demo saws of some sort,
Yes.
cut off saws. Do they make powerful enough battery powered demo saws yet?
I have to check the roof, you guys, to see what exactly they're using.
Don't make a difference whether the
But that would make a big difference, one of those little 2-cycle or 4-cycle demo saws is very loud.
Have you done this in other places? This exact procedure?
We did it in, I think the Cobb's Creek location, we did it overnight.
Were they in this residential an area?
I believe so, yes. I believe there were people living across the street and it was a thinner street.
Trying to think, I know the country.
How did that go?
I actually was not with the company at the time.
Southwest Philly.
Yeah,
Area is
Southwest.
residential, right?
It
You got
And-
it? Sorry?
you want to call, I did not hear about any, I mean, maybe they had complaints, the city is obviously much louder in general, so people are a little bit more tolerant of that stuff, totally
Oh
understand.
my goodness, they're right in that, you are right in the middle of residential. It's
Yes,
literally right across the street.
yes.
What's,
Yeah.
oh, that's, what's this sign?
Well, this is all.
If we were to say,
Here,
okay, and then we got
Here.
a lot of
Couple
feedback that
comments.
it's unacceptable, what would that do to your plans?
We'd have to talk to Chop about either potentially looking at the cost implications of doing it over weekends, over, 30 weeks without weather.
Going into
Without a
November,
kind of weather?
December, January, yeah?
Well, at
Well,
this
yeah,
point,
and it,
at this point, we'd be waiting for spring to do it.
Okay,
Because we need 40 and rising for the membrane to set properly. So we'd be waiting until the spring, but then at that point if we're doing weekends only, we're getting crews to do that first of all, and then doing,
you're gonna need to get a waiver from us to do
is it
weekends.
full, well, no, it wouldn't be at nights, it would be during the days.
No, we don't.
We still need a waiver for that?
Believe so.
Anything outside of Saturday?
Outside of Saturday, yeah.
Okay, so we still need a waiver for that.
So you're
Or
planning to do
or
this?
Chop would have to shut, we'd have to coordinate with Chop and they would have to figure out a way to shut. this
Not
down,
only
which
that, but I
would
can't
be-
see, I mean,
Yeah.
how
So when
many
are
of
you
our
planning
residents
to
use
do
Chop
this
on a daily
work?
basis?
Anyway,
What?
when are you planning to do this work anyway?
Correctly?
Yeah.
next spring.
Spring.
Spring, okay.
So we don't necessarily have to make this, so you can gather some more information
Yes.
for us, because I think
Yes.
you're going to need to look into some kind of a construction barrier fabric along the side of where New Seasons is, you know, that you can extend up poles that might, be light deadening and sound deadening of some sort. I mean, they make them for
Right
construction
there,
sites.
yeah.
Well, they're right there and then right across. Remington
You
Oaks.
know.
Both sides. Yeah.
Wow, that's more.
You have a
documented.
street separating it to Remington Oaks, but then you're not even that far away from the New
Yeah.
Seasons.
Craig, have you ever seen anything like
Yeah.
this anywhere? No?
That's why I'm buying.
It's only the section that's in yellow that you're replacing?
Yes, or the extension to the facility was a newer construction build, so that's not part of our scope of this project.
Mhm.
So it's just the old original facility that I think was built in like the 97.
We told them they should have gone 2 stories, they didn't listen to us.
Well, no, they came back in and asked for it again.
That was after they built it.
Yeah.
I think someone mentioned, yeah, way, I mean, shutting that down is a big impact.
It's a huge impact for our residents.
Yeah.
Residents and-
I know the inside very well.
My one coworker was at the urgent care, like, it was good, so.
It's one of those things where you don't know until you can try everything, it still might not work, but maybe they gather some more information. I hate when you say, okay, well. You should have a, regardless, you have a contingency plan if they would approve something that, if they get a lot of complaints, especially this Apricot.
That's why I asked the question, if we
Yeah,
have to,
she
if
isn't.
we have to withdraw
Yeah.
approval.
They're right there.
Yeah.
It's equidistant. It's
Yeah.
200 feet, yeah, to New Seasons and 200 feet to Remington Oaks.
The only difference being the tree line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, in your, prior dealings in more urban areas, have you dealt with any of these kind of projects before?
No.
No.
This is. What precedence.
That's funny, I was like looking on your website for other requests similar to this,
Mhm.
back like whatever, I looked through all the meeting minutes to like whatever's on website 2020. I couldn't find a single one. I was like, great, I don't have anything to go off of, like what materials that I need, but things that I was.
Yeah.
This is why we need to think about putting residential and commercial right next to each other.
Well, what did I bring up earlier? I would say you're gonna need to come back with a lot more data,
Yes.
significant more data, and I would highly recommend that you tell CHOP that, like, whether or not they have a personal issue, they send somebody else. Because this is a big deal, and they better come with some statistics in terms of what kind of effects it's gonna have on,
Patient
services they
care,
provide.
services, yeah.
If any interruptions take place, all relevant data that will help support. Us making a decision one way or the other. Because this is a very.
Busy,
boy.
busy place.
So. Does the board have anything else to offer?
No, there's a motion on the table though.
Well, we're gonna table the motion. So at this time, I will take a motion from the board to table the motion.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion to table carries.
We'll see you soon.
We'll be in touch. Once you get more information, we'll put you on future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, that is the conclusion of item 7 action items on our agenda for this evening. The next item on the agenda is information items. Departmental updates.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't have anything else to add this evening. I've been in it with the budget for so long that you saw my presentation this evening. Turn it over to Chief Classer if he has anything he'd like to bring up.
No, I'd just like to thank the board for considering the increasing the staffing on the police department.
Thank you, Chief, again for all your hard work, and you
I
as well.
I just
Matt.
have to find the right person to fill it.
Gotta get there first, yeah.
All right, where's Ryan? No, Public Works.
So this is like, public works reports haven't been completed yet because this is usually the business meeting agenda. So between now and 2 weeks, we'll have the Public Works Department's report and Parks.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm loath to even say the words of the next item on the agenda, so can we just go to finance? Did he say it?
Report's coming.
Yes.
Finance. I don't have anything to add aside from my presentation regarding the budget. If our finance director, John Bates, has anything that he'd like to.
Just two quick things, just 2 quick points. First being that we're currently closing October activity. Have those financial reports at the beginning of next week. And one of the other big projects ongoing is the legal and engineering process update to the escrow process. So we have a meeting scheduled next week for the rest of staff to meet and discuss their progress points. And I will have an update on where we stand from there at the next business meeting.
All right, thank you. Does anyone have
Thank
any
you.
questions for John? No,
Well, I do.
okay, go ahead.
Did we get any sort of resolution from Edmonds as far as the
That will
module?
be included in that as well. So I'm going back and forth with them on a couple of things that I'm digging into current contract stipulations that we have with them as far as basically what they want to do, long story short, is basically charge for this escrow module. They will not let me work with it for the rest of the year to try and gauge where we stand. They sent a video. I want to show the rest of the staff that video at this meeting on Tuesday, see if they think it would be beneficial. And we will have a further update at the next one. I'll see from there.
Is this in addition to our finance application?
I'm gonna be taking over this process, so it would have been beneficial to have it all integrated. It's a nice to have, it's not absolutely necessary. There are other ways to go about building out what we're trying to accomplish going forward. So that was kind of the sticking point with the Edmonds and the merging of the finance module with this escrow piece that they have.
What we were told with this software was that one of the selling points of Edmonds was that it enabled us to manage escrows really well. We hadn't ever used it for escrows. And so we're trying to figure out how to use it for escrows and have now realized that Edmonds is attempting to charge it. It's one of those little check boxes that you have to add with.
We basically have everything in the finance module checked off, less escrow. Speaking with them, I was questioning why that is, and then got this whole runaround about how it's an extra piece.
Okay.
So we're trying to get like a free version of it for the end of the year to see if it is something that we can use, but they're not.
60-day CD,
Right?
you know?
Long gone are those.
It's an AOL reference. Jeez, dating myself.
Yes.
All right, we'll go on to the next item on the agenda, the board comments. I'll start down here since I always start down here.
I thought you said you were gonna start. Wow.
No.
I just want to say that the trunk or treat that the police department, the fire department and the EMS participated in was really a lot of fun. It was something I know New Seasons coordinated. But I think it was a great community event. It was great to see Chief and one of his officers out there. I hope it's something that continues as an annual tradition for the community. Thank you for participating in it and helping coordinate it.
Thank you.
All I have.
Good to see the police officers around on Halloween, like they normally are touring the communities. Well,
My only comment is tomorrow's election day. Everybody go vote. So,
Yep. No comment from me.
Just thank Chief and Matt and Mike and John for all their work and putting this together for us. And Stephanie did look like she was having a good time at trunk or treat.
She definitely was.
You like that? And I'm glad Halloween went off and yes, everyone needs to vote and behave themselves tomorrow.
yes. All right. Number 9, committee reports. Can we just, okay. There's nothing to report on committee reports at this time. 10, public comments. Is there any public comment?
Do we not have a report from our engineer and solicitor at this meeting? Or is it just only at the?
this is like this is a semi-work session.
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Yeah, it's a, what was it? A work,
Semi-work session.
what'd you
Yeah.
call it? A whoa?
Oh, I can.
Oh.
Riffing.
And-
They broke shop.
Brochure, yeah.
Something like that.
Bump. Okay, announcements. Is there anything else before I do my little spiel here at the end? All right, the next meeting of the Board of Supervisors of New Britain Township will take place on Monday, November 21st, 2022 at 7 p.m. here at the New Britain Township Building. The agenda meeting materials will be posted to the township website prior to the meeting date at newbritontownship.org. A recording of this meeting as well will be on the township's YouTube site within the next 24 to 36 hours. After those announcements, I will now take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions regarding this motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.